You know what, folks? It is 9 o'clock on the west coast of Canada, and we are going to kick off this meetup for this week. So welcome everyone to our session that we're having coming up with Sumit here. Before we do that, I'm going to start my normal here of doing a quick introduction. So the first thing I always do is I want to throw out a big thanks to the sponsors that make this happen. Skillwave is my training company where we teach you how to be amazing with Excel and Power BI. If you haven't checked out our courses, you definitely should. I'll talk about that more in just a little bit. Excel Guru is the parent company of Skillwave and also the company that builds and distributes the Monkey Tools add-in to help you build better Excel solutions faster. Our next meetups that we have coming up in a couple of weeks, we've got Joseph Yates is going to be kicking off year 10 for VanPug with a Power BI mixtape volume 2. Really looking forward to that one. And don't forget as well that this one will also have an in-person component that you can register for as well. So, check out the details of that on the site if you want to participate in that one. Should be a good time. And then we've got Puneet Goja is going to be joining us to talk about Excel with Copilot. That is going to be happening on September 4th at 9 a.m. Pacific time as well. So both these meetups are available for RSVPs. Hopefully we'll see you at them. Just a quick note on the latest updates for Monkey Tools. So July 8th is the last about a month ago is sort of the last big release that we did. There's been some small bug fixes and stuff since then. This is where we added a new current workbook feature. So we've added a function for current workbook, and we've added a current workbook monkey, which essentially gives you a button now so that you can get data from the file that you are in instead of having to code it manually. And the reason we have an FN current workbook is because we've written a better version of that function that actually lines up more with the external workbook component. So there's your benefits. You've now got to get data this workbook, and it replicates your columns consistent with the Excel workbook function. We've also added keyboard shortcut accessibility for all of the menus on the Monkey Tools tab so that you can use things like Excel Robot with Monkey Tools, which is kind of cool. And naturally, of course, there's always bug fixes inside this. So if you haven't checked out Monkey Tools, you can get your copy at monkeytools.ca. Just a quick note as far as the Skillwave courses go right now. If you are familiar with our courses, you know that they do have premium prices associated with them. But for the rest of the summer, we've got a about 3 weeks left in our huge sale for right now. This is the biggest sale we've ever had. 50% off any of our video on demand courses, 30% off any of the courses that actually have coaching as well. There is no better time to dive in and take part in the materials that we have here. One of those is our Excel Fundamentals Academy. We have a new kickoff coming up on August 13th. This is a fantastic program that will fill in a lot of knowledge gaps that you have around Excel or get you started if you haven't worked with Excel before. We talk about also the key things with formulas and functions, pivot tables, data visualization, Power Query, and more importantly, it gives you access into our Ask Ken Anything sessions, which is something that happens twice a month where basically I take questions from anybody. You actually get access to your instructor to ask your questions. How do you apply them to your work? And I'll help you build those solutions. It is a fantastic program. And one of the things that I have found the most fascinating about this is that even my advanced users who go and start taking this come back and say, oh my God, I didn't know how much there was that I didn't know, which is always kind of a nice little pat on the back. Speaking of our more advanced programs, our Self-Service BI Academy here is a huge training program with over 50 hours of training involved in it with Excel, Power Query, Power Pivot, Power BI, all kinds of really good stuff in here. Access to the Ask Ken Anything sessions. Even gives you your Excel Fundamentals Academy for free as well. And again, this is 30% off right now. Our next kickoff for this is coming August 13th as well. So you should definitely check this out. This meetup, as all meetups that we do here, is recorded and will be posted to the Skillwave YouTube channel. It takes me about 24 to 48 hours to get it produced and posted. But once I do, not only will it actually go out on YouTube, but you will also hear about it from the meetup site. We actually post there to let you know it's live so that you can go back and watch the recording. Something I am sure you're going to want to do today, because if there's one thing that I do know about Regex, it's that you're not going to be able to absorb all of this in one sitting. It will take some time to go back and look at it a couple of times to understand what the heck the patterns actually mean. And I can see out of the corner of my eye Sumit nodding as I'm saying that, because Regex is not like your regular old English. But that's okay. It's cool stuff, and we got that ability. Last thing I want to mention, or penultimate thing I guess I should say, is if you would like to come and speak to our meetup group here, like Sumit is doing today, we would love to have you fill out the survey that we have here at excelguru.ca/speakatvanpug. Again, all of these slides are already posted to the meetup group, so you can download them and get all the links. If you get in touch with us, we'd love to get you on our show. And now, with great pleasure, I'm going to turn the screen over to my friend Sumit, who is going to be talking about advanced data cleanings with regex functions in Excel. This is going to be fun stuff. Sumit, are you ready to take over and show us the cool stuff you got for us?
Yes, I'm ready. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, your team, for having me here. And hello, everyone. Just a quick introduction. I am Sumit Bansal. I'm originally from India, but right now I'm in Abu Dhabi, UAE. And I've been creating Excel content for about 12, 13 years now. So if you want to check out my work, you can check out Trump Excel YouTube channel and my website. Now, let me share my screen and get into the Excel file. Just a sec. Yeah. So let me know if you guys can see the Excel file.
Can see it perfectly.
All right. So in this session, I'm going to take you through the new regex functions, and I'm also going to explain a little bit about the regex patterns. What we're going to do in this case is understand more how these regex functions work, and also understand how the regex patterns work. Now, as Ken mentioned, regex in itself could be a little overwhelming. So we are going to look at some of the common patterns. I'm going to take you through a lot of examples, but I do not want you to remember everything. Regex, thankfully, can be quickly created using any AI tool that you have. So you do not really have to learn and remember any of these regex patterns. I will take you some examples. You will be able to absorb some of the things. But again, as Ken mentioned, you will have to come back and see this video or play with these functions to get some things done. Now, I'm going to focus more on data cleaning and extraction, and we are going to talk about these functions. So Excel has these 3 new regex functions. The first one is Regex Extract, which is the most important one. It, as the name suggests, is going to use a pattern and extract something from a cell. Then we have Regex Replace, which again uses a similar regex pattern and then replaces something in the cell. And Regex Test is something which is going to find whether the pattern is there in the cell or not. So we're going to look at a lot of examples, but primarily we are going to be focused on Regex Extract. Now, Regex is also there in XLOOKUP and XMatch. And to be honest, I haven't really found a very good use case of using regex within XLOOKUP, but I have an example for you to show you how it works. Now, a few things about regex is this thing which often comes up is whether it's called regex or it's called regex. And I did a lot of research. I went to a few forums, I read Reddit threads, and I have a definitive answer for you. It's called regex because it's short for regular expression, and there is something in English which makes it regex. But regex is also widely used, so I will be using regex, but if you have to be correct in the pronunciation, the right term is regex. Now, regex has been around for a very long time, and this is relevant because this means that most of the AI tools are very well trained on regex patterns. So you can quickly create those patterns using any AI tool. It could be a free tool, it could be a paid tool, any AI tool is going to work. Now, this is something which is a technicality. Regex, when it came out, it was using something called as PCRE engine, but now it is using a PCRE2 engine, which Excel also uses. And it is the same thing that Google Sheets uses. So the functions that we are going to see here are also going to work in Google Sheets. And these are new functions. So these are, I think, now generally available in Microsoft 365. Now, before I get into the examples, I have to take you through this part. And again, as I said, you do not have to remember anything. These are meta characters which we will be using to construct patterns, but you do not have to remember anything. I'll just take you through a couple of them, and then we will go through the examples where probably I'll keep on using some of them, so you'll remember a few of them. These meta characters is something that would represent something in the pattern. For example, a dot character represents one character. So if I use a dot, then I can use it to find any one given character. If it is an asterisk, then asterisks would, just like in Excel wildcard character, it represents 0 or more characters, which could be anything, and we'll see some examples of it. There is also this OR operator, there's a $sign, caret sign. We are going to go through all of them. So I am going to give you this file so you can go through these meta characters, these examples, and maybe learn a little more about them by using any AI tool. Also, this is not an exhaustive list. So there are many more meta characters, but these are like the important ones that I've listed here. With this, let's get into a few examples. So I'll start with a very basic example, which is I have this list of name and I need to extract the first and the last name. Now, obviously, this is not something which is unique to regex. You can do this easily using the text before or text after function or even the older text functions. But just to give you a flavor of how regex works, let me show you how to extract the first and the last name. So I'm going to use the regex extract function here because I want to extract the first name. And then this is going to be the range of cells from which I want to extract the first name. So this is my first argument, and regex extract function, it takes 4 arguments. We are going to go through all these 4 arguments, not in this example, but in subsequent examples. Now, the second argument is the pattern that you want this formula to use so that it identifies the first name in these cells. And this pattern is always put in double quotes. So you need to have your pattern within double quotes. And now I'm going to put the pattern here. Now, the pattern in this case, if I just show you something like if I just put M here and I hit enter, it is going to go into the cell and identify whether uppercase M is there in the cell or not. If it is there, it is going to extract it. So for example, if I come here and I type any text, it is going to find that text in the cell. But I do not just want to find M or Milton. I want to find the first name. So here I'm going to use something like this. So when I have /W, it is a meta character, and you will find it in this list in this tab that I have. This represents one word character. So now if I hit enter, you'll see that it gives me capital M, capital C, capital J here. This represents one word character. But in this case, I want the entire first name. So what I truly need to do here is I want to start here from this name from the left. It starts identifying these characters, and I want it to stop when it is a non-word character, which means I want it to stop when there is a space. So what I would do is come here and add a plus. And this means when I add a plus, it just repeats whatever is before it. So in this case, this is one word character. Plus means keep on repeating these word characters till you do not find a non-word character. So now when I hit enter, it gives me the first name. So what it has done is it starts from the beginning. It always starts from the beginning, from left. And then it started going from here and it went till N. And as soon as it encountered a space character, it stopped. Now, if I have to get the last name, I can use the same formula with one minor change. In this case, I started from the left, from the beginning of the cell. But when I'm extracting the last name, I want to extract from the end. So in this case, I would just add a $sign here. So when you add a $sign, it means that match this pattern, this given pattern, but start from the end. So now when I hit enter, it gives me the last name. So this is a pretty simple example. I know you can do this with text before, text after, and simple text functions, but this is just to give you an idea of how regex function works. Now let's look at a slightly more complex example. So I have these names here, but first of all, these are not consistent. So I have these names where there is no space character. In some cases, there is a space character, but like multiple space characters. In some cases, there is also a middle name initial, and I have to extract the first and the last name. Now, in this case, it is a little bit more difficult to get this data from the text function alone, because even if I'm using like a text before or text after, I need to identify where is the uppercase character. But this is very easy when you're using the regex function. So in this case, I would again use the regex extract. Also, when I give you the file, you will find all these formulas here in the notes. So in the notes, I have put all these formulas for you, so you can refer it and you can recreate what I'm doing here. Now, in this case, I'm going to use regex extract. This is my text. And now I want to start from the left. And so the pattern is going to be in double quotes. And I want to identify the first name. And the first name starts with a capital character. So in this case, I'm going to have square bracket. And anything I write within the square bracket is going to be matched. In this case, I want the square bracket to identify the first upper character. So in this case, I would type A to Z, which means that this is going to go into this cell and identify the upper character, the first upper character. So if I hit enter here, it gives you M, C, J, and so on. But in this case, I just don't want the uppercase character. I also want all the lowercase characters that follow. So if I come here, I would have another square bracket, and here I would put A to Z in lowercase. And now when I hit enter, it gives me an uppercase character and a lowercase character. But I want all the lowercase characters. So all I would do is come here and add a plus sign. And you'll see me adding this plus sign a lot because plus sign is just going to repeat whatever is before it till it does not find a character which does not comply with this. So it is going to continue to find characters till it does not find a lowercase character. So now when I hit enter, it gives me the first name. And if you want the last name, again, we can use the same thing. But in this case, as I mentioned, because we want to start from the end, we are just going to add a $sign here. And now when I hit enter, it gives me the last name. Now Regex Extract makes it so simple, but I'm sure if you try and do this using any formula or with Power Query, I know you can do this with Power Query where you have the uppercase, lowercase split, but even with this kind of inconsistent data, it is going to be very difficult to extract the first and the last name. Now let's look at some more examples. So here I have these emails and I want to get the username and the domain name. Now again, it can be done with text before, text after, because we have this identifier, which is the @ sign. Okay, so let me still tell you how to do this using regex function because I want to show you an important concept. So here I have the regex extract function. This is the range. And now I need to create this pattern. Now, in this case, in this pattern, if I just put an @ sign in square brackets, it is just going to go into these cells and identify where if it has an @ sign or not. And if it has it, it is going to extract it. But what I want to do is I want to start from the beginning, go till it does not find the @ sign. And as soon as it finds the @ sign, it should stop. So to do that, what we are going to use is a caret symbol within the square brackets. And whenever you use a caret symbol within square brackets, it means that I'm going to look for anything which is not the @ sign. So it is going to start looking from the beginning here. It is going to go from here, but as soon as it finds an @ sign, the pattern doesn't match. Till here, the pattern matches. So see what happens when I come here and I hit enter. It gives me J, but I'll have to add a plus sign. So I forgot that. If you add a plus sign here, it is going to continue to give this. So this gives you one character that doesn't match the @ sign. And when you add plus, it is going to continue to give you all the characters that does not match an @ sign. So now when I hit enter, it gives me all the username. And by now, I think you already know what is going to happen. If I want to get the domain name, I would just come here and add a $sign. So it gives you the username and the domain name. Now, as I mentioned, this is pretty easy using text before and text after. So let's look at a slightly more complex example. So here I have these emails, but you can see this is now not consistent. I have an email in text and I want to extract the email. Now, text before, text after, and other functions work really well when there is consistency. In this case, there is not. You can see I also have email in parentheses. I have emails that are all different kinds of emails. Now to extract these emails, what we are going to do is we are going to construct the regex pattern, and I'm not going to type it because it is a slightly longer one. So I have it here and I'll explain the pattern to you. So this is the pattern and it gives me the emails. Now what it does is it again goes through this cell, and the pattern here is this part. So let me copy this part and maybe put it here and then explain it. So what this does is this part of the pattern, which is within square brackets, it is going to look for anything that is mentioned within the square brackets. So it would be A to Z. So it could be an uppercase character. It could be a lowercase character. It could also be a number. It could be a dot, underscore, percentage, or a plus sign, or a hyphen. So when I mention everything here, it is going to match any character that is going to that is covered in this range. So uppercase, lowercase, numbers, and everything. And then when I have a plus sign, it means that it will continue to match it till it finds an @ sign. As soon as it finds the @ sign, it will put the @ sign there, and then it will give me the domain name. And because domain name cannot have a lot of other characters, it can only have an uppercase character, lowercase, number, dot, or hyphen. Those are here. And then there's a plus sign. So now when I hit enter here, you can see it gives me all these emails. Now let's look at a slightly more complex example from this, where I have these emails, but I have multiple emails in the same cell, and I want to extract all these emails together. Now, again, it would be a nightmare to do this with formulas in Excel, but with regex, you can actually use this same formula. So let me copy this and we'll bring it here. But in this case, I'm not going to use the entire range. I'm just going to use one cell, and I'll tell you why. So now when I just use this one cell and I have the same pattern where it finds the username, then @, then the domain name, and I hit enter, it gives me the first email ID it encounters here in this cell. But I do not want just the first one. I want all the email IDs, which means that I have a pattern. I want this function to go into the cell and give me all the matching values. Now, this is something that is not built within regex, but that is built within the regex extract function. So here we are going to use the third argument, which in this case by default is first match. So it always gives you the first match, but I want to get all the matches. So I would put 1 here. And now when I hit enter, you can see it gives me all the matching cells, all the matching values as an array in different cells in horizontally in a row. And if I want to get it for all these cells, I can just copy it down and it gives me all these values. Now, the reason I said that I'm going to use A2 here is because as of now, dynamic arrays cannot spill down the range as well as to the right. So if I just use the entire thing, which is A2 to A11, it is not going to work because it will only give me the first result. But if I use just A2 here, then it spills and it gives me all the email IDs. Now, in this case, I have 2, but if you have 10, 15, even 100, all of them would be returned. But if you want to get them, combine them together and put them in one single cell, now we can use the text join function to do that. So text join, the delimiter, let's say, is comma followed by space. And then we have the result of regex extract. So this gives us all the emails in one cell, and these emails are extracted from text, which is not structured, which could be anything, and it just does the work and it extracts emails. Now, this is again something that would be very, very difficult, if not impossible, to do this with formulas. Now, let me show you a very interesting example, and this is something that really got me into regex because this was a practical use case that I had to do. And this is to split numbers and text. Now, regex makes it so simple. Let me show you. So I'll show you 2 different examples of it. First, I have these IDs and I have these numbers. Now I want to extract these numbers separately and the text separately. So I'm going to use the regex extract function. This is going to be the text. And then we'll create the pattern in double quotes. And the pattern in this case is going to be /D. Now, when I use /D, it means it represents a digit. And this is going to find the first digit in these cells. So if I hit enter here, you can see it gives me all these digits. And because I want to get all of these digits, I would just come here and add a plus sign. And that's it. It works. It will get all the numbers in the cell. It doesn't matter where it is. It doesn't matter whether it is in the beginning, in the end. It will extract the numbers. And if you want to extract the text, again, a very, very simple formula. Just copy this part here. And instead of lowercase d, we are going to use uppercase d because /uppercase d means anything which is a non-digit. So it is going to remove all the digits and only give you stuff that is non-digit. So here, if I hit enter, you can see it gives me all these IDs. Now, obviously not a very useful example, but if you just want to extract the numbers, then regex extract did it really easily. But let's take a couple more examples in the same case. So I have these text here and I have a mix of text and numbers, and you can see these are inconsistent. So let's see what we would get. First, let me quickly write the regex function. So regex extract, let me just use one cell, A2, and then I would have the pattern. In this case, let the pattern be /D plus. So it gives me the numbers and I can copy it. And the same thing I can do with text here, capital D. Now let me go through each row and show you a few things. So in this case, you can see I get the same result whether the number is after the text or before the text, because regex just goes in, identifies the pattern and extract it. So this is not like text before or text after, where you need to know what's the identifier, where's the text, is it before the text number, is the number before the text or after the text. You can just use the identifier here, which is /D plus, and it is going to extract the numbers. So these two examples, despite the fact that these are different, it can easily give you the same result. In this case, it gives me 1, 2, 3, but that is just the first matching digit pattern. And then it doesn't give me anything. And the reason for this is because I have this formula right now using the third argument by default, which is to just give the first matching value. But if you want to get all these numbers, then you can use 1 here as the third argument. And when you do that, it is going to extract all the numbers. Now it gives me spill here, but if I remove this, you can see it gives me all these three numbers. And if I want to combine all these three numbers, that's easy. We just saw how to do that. Text join, then we can have comma as a delimiter, and then the regex extract function. You can see it has extracted all the numbers and given these numbers to me separated by comma. You can have any delimiter, you can have a pipe symbol, a space character, a dash, hyphen, anything. But this one single formula will go in and extract all the numbers from this cell with this. And if you want to extract all the text values, again, the same formula with one minor change, which is instead of small d, I'm going to use uppercase D. And now when I hit enter, it gives me ABC, then DEF, then XYZ, and you can test it. If I put something here, it is going to work. It is going to continue to give me all the results that are combined in one single cell. So if you are doing these kind of extraction, they are very difficult with Excel formulas, but it is pretty easy with regex. Now let's see a few more examples. So in this case, I have order 98 pending, and when I use this formula, it gives me the number, which is fine. But in this case, it gives me the first matching result, which is order, because that is the text part that it matches first. But let's say I do not want this. I want to return whatever is there in uppercase. So it could be anywhere, but it needs to be uppercase. In that case, you can do that as well. Instead of using this, I'm going to have square brackets and then put A to Z in uppercase. And now when I hit enter, it is going to give me one single character, which is capital P. But as you probably already guessed, I'm just going to add a plus sign here, and it gives me the text which is in uppercase. So you can also do this case sensitive extraction where you can extract uppercase or lowercase. For example, in this case, I do not want order. I want this word here, which is complete. Now, in this case, the word starts with an uppercase alphabet and then goes on with lowercase. So again, we'll use a very simple formula where we would have square brackets, capital A to Z, followed by square bracket and lowercase a to z, and then a plus sign. And this gives us this value. So you can choose, you can really do the text extraction based on the lowercase, based on the position, based on whether it's a number, it's a non-number, anything. Now, in this case, this is text USD 299.45, and I want to extract the decimal part. Now, obviously, one way to do this would be to first extract the number and then extract the decimal part. But with regex, you can identify the position of this dot character and extract the decimal part, which is 0.45. And you can do it anywhere. For example, even if it has any other text here, you can still do that. So let me show you how. So here again, I have the same formula, and in the pattern, first, I'm going to use something like this, where I have a backward slash and then a dot. Now, the reason for this is because dot has a specific meaning. It is a meta character that represents one or more characters. So I cannot use this just as is. If I use this, it will not work. But when I use it with a backslash, it is going to give me the exact dot. So see what happens now when I hit enter, it gives me dot here, but I want the dot followed by the numbers. So I'm going to now have backward slash D plus. And now it extracts only the decimal part. So these are a few examples I wanted to show you where you can split numbers and text, but not just split them. You can really do very granular level of extraction. Now, let me explain this new concept called word boundary in regex. So here I have this data where I have these address. Now, what I want to extract is this state code, which is MO in this case, IL in this case. Now, if I do this with regular regex patterns that we have been using so far, I would select this. And then because I want two uppercase characters, I would just come here and I would use A to Z and then followed again by A to Z. If I do this, it gives me the result, but this result is not correct. So it gives me the right result in these three cases, but you can see it gives me wrong result here in this case, because here I have this word which is already in capital, and instead I want the result as this one. Now this is giving me this result because my pattern was very simple. Identify and give me two uppercase characters. So it gave it to me. So this is obviously incorrect. So let's try and correct it. Now, if I ask you to manually do this, you'll probably just look for the space characters before and after these state codes and get the result. So let's try if that works. So here, before the A to Z, these two uppercase characters, I'm going to add a space character before and after. To add a space character, it is backward slash S, and let's do the same thing here as well. So now my pattern is identify a space character, which is followed by two uppercase characters, then followed by a space character again. In this case, let's see what happens. When I hit enter, it gives me the result in most cases except this one. And the problem here is that I have New York, but then it is followed by a dash, which is not a space character. Now, if these are the situations, we can use a concept called word boundary. So let me show you how it works. Instead of backward slash S, I'm going to use backward slash B, and B is for boundary, and I'll explain how it works. So let's just type that here. And now you can see it gives us the right result. Now, word boundary means that it is going to find the pattern, but before and after the pattern, there is a word boundary, which means that this needs to be a separate word. And before and after that, there should be non-word characters. So in this case, there are space characters. So I have this here, I have this here. So this is space character. It's the same case here. Either here and here I have these space characters. But if I come here, I have a space character here, but I have a non-word character here. Hyphen is not considered a word character. So this is why in this example, word boundary works. So if you are working with examples, not just this example, but you're working with examples where you want to extract something, but you want that to be a complete word, then you can use the concept of word boundary. Now let's move to the next example. This is an easy one and an important one. Here we are going to use the OR operator within regex. So here I have these questions and comments, and what I want to do is extract only the questions here. Now to do that, first I would have to consider how to create the pattern. So the pattern in this case would be anything that starts with something like a what or a how or when, and then ends with a question mark. So if I can extract all those cells that has this, then I can extract all the questions. So in this case, let's use the regex test function. Now regex test function, as I mentioned, works very similar to the regex extract function, where it is going to check for a pattern. And if the pattern is found, it is going to return true, else it is going to return false. So these are the cells that I have. And in this case, let's construct a simple pattern where it starts with a what, then it can be followed by anything. So that would be a dot plus, where dot represents one character and plus represents that there could be any number of characters after what, and then it would end with a question mark. But because question mark already has some meaning as a meta character, I would make it more absolute by adding this backslash. So when I use backslash question mark, it is going to look for the exact character, which is question mark. Now in this case, if I hit enter, it gives us this array of trues and falses, where this is true. This is true because it has the same thing, what followed by something and then question mark, and this is true. But I also want it for how and when and is. So let's use the OR operator. Now to use the OR operator, it's a very simple operator. I'm going to put this in brackets just to separate it from the rest of the pattern. And for the OR operator, you just put the pipe symbol and type whatever criterias you have. So in this case, I have how, then I have when, then I have is. And now when I hit enter, you can see it has changed. Now this gives me true, this gives me true, this gives me false because this is not a question, it doesn't follow the pattern, and I have the result. But obviously I don't want trues and falses, I want the actual question. So I can use the filter function here, where this is my array, and regex is what is going to give me the trues and falses. So now when I hit enter, it gives me all these questions. So if you're working with text data and you want to extract these kind of things where you need to have multiple criteria, then you can use the OR operator in regex functions. Now let's look at another example and another concept, and this is an interesting one. So there are these meta characters that are called greedy, and then there are these characters that can be made non-greedy. So let me explain this with an example. Here I have this data and I want to extract this part that is in square brackets. And you can see I have multiple of these here. I have the size, I have the stock. So to do that, let's create a pattern. So I have regex extract. This is my data. And now let's create the pattern. So for pattern in this case, I wanted to start from a square bracket beginning, then square bracket ending, and in the middle it could have anything, any number of characters. So I would start with this because a square bracket has some meaning in the meta character list that I showed you. I have to put a backward slash here, so it is going to look for the exact character which is the beginning of a square bracket, and I have the ending of a square bracket. And in between, there could be any number of characters. So let's have dot followed by asterisk. Now, this is what is going to give me the result, where this is going to find the beginning of the square bracket, ending of the square bracket, and this is going to find anything which is in between. Let's see if this works. So I hit enter, and it didn't work. The reason it did not work is because this dot here is a greedy character. And when I say greedy, it means that it will try and match as much as it can of the pattern in the cell. So the result is actually not incorrect. If you look at it, you see I have an opening bracket here, opening square bracket, and a closing square bracket. So it did not stop here. It went till the end because this is the longest it could find in this cell. And this is why this character is called a greedy character, because it will not stop till it finds the biggest matching pattern. Now, if you do not want this, you want to make this non-greedy, we can do that by using a question mark after the greedy character. So I have this part dot followed by asterisk. If I just use a question mark here, it makes it non-greedy, which means that it will start here and it will end at the first matching square bracket closing which it encounters. So see what happens when I hit enter, it only gives me the color. It doesn't give me the entire thing. Now, if you do not want the first matching criteria, let's say you want the size instead, we can also do that. But as I mentioned, we cannot use the array because array only spills in one direction. So if I remove this, it gives me this color blue as in the result, the matching criteria. And if I use one here, which is I need all the matches, it gives me everything. So color, size, and stock. But I only want the size, so I can come here and I can use the index function and say, give me the second element of whatever you're returning, whatever array you're returning. So now when I hit enter, it gives me the size and I can drag this down. So this is an important concept called greedy meta characters. When you're using AI and you're working with it, you will come across a lot of these concepts called greedy meta characters and word boundary. So you can just come back to these examples and have a look at how these work. Now, another important concept, which is called grouping. And this is a little advanced concept, so I'll spend a little more time on this one. What happens is, let me actually also show you this. You'll see in the regex extract function here, in the third argument, we have something called as capture groups for first match. So this is something that is built into the regex extract function. Grouping is a concept in regex where you can create groups and then you can refer to these groups. So let me show you with an example. Here, I have this data and I want to extract, let's say, these numbers, but I only want to extract these numbers if they are preceded by this currency code. So I have USD 300. I want to return 300 only if there is a currency code before it. If there is no currency code before it, I do not want to get the number. So in this case, although I have two numbers, 100 and 300, I still just want 300 because that is the number. Right before that number, there is a currency code. Now there, in some cases, you can see there is a space character. So I have a space character here, but there is no space character here. And in some cases, there could be more than one space character as well. So the data, again, is not very consistent. Now, what I'm going to do in this case is, again, use the regex extract function. This is my text. Actually, just select the first one. And now I'm going to create the pattern. Now, in this pattern, instead of creating just one single string, I'm going to create a group. So I'm going to create these three groups, and these groups are always within parentheses. So what I'm going to do is create these three groups, and then I can choose which group I want to return. So in the first group, I want to have the currency code. So it should have the currency code. So I would use something like square bracket, and within square bracket A to Z. And because I want it 3 times, there is a concept where you can either type this 3 times, so A to Z, A to Z, A to Z, or you can just type the number in curly brackets. So this is going to create a group that would find uppercase characters that are exactly 3 uppercase characters. Then in some cases, there is a space character. In some cases, there is no space character. For example, in this case, I have USD 1000. So the first group is going to find USD, but then second group can be a space character, may not be a space character. So in this case, let's use /s, which represents a space character, but I would add an asterisk here. When I add an asterisk, it means there could be 0 space character, 1 space character, 2 space character, or any number of space characters. So this makes it fit all these conditions where I could have either 1 or no space characters. And in the end, I would have digits. Now, I do not know how many digits are there. In some cases, there are 3 digits. Some cases, there are 4. So I would just use this. Now, if I hit enter, it gives me the entire result here, which is USD 300, and I can drag this down. But let me show you why I created these groups, because now it gets interesting. I have this, but I do not want the currency code. I just want the number. So I would come here and I would use capture groups of first match. Let's see what happens when I do that. It gives me this array where it gives me USD, which is the first group, then a space character or no space character, which is the second group, and then 300, which is the third group. So if I come here and I do not create these groups, it is just going to give me one result, which is going to be USD 300 combined. But because I created these 3 groups, it is now going to give me the result as an array where each group result is going to be given as an array. So now I have these values. If I just want the value, the number, I would come here, use the index function, and just extract the third element, which is 300. I can drag this down and it gives me all these numbers. Now, what's great about this is it's not just extracting any number. It is only extracting the number if there is this 3 currency code in uppercase before the number. If I remove this, it'll not work. It'll not give me anything. So this works. Another thing is it is not just giving me any number. Obviously, this is matching it. And it is giving me all these numbers. If the condition is not matched, it is not going to return. And the number could be as long as you want, because it doesn't matter. So this is how you can create these groups and then use these groups to extract only part of it. For example, just extract the currency code. In this case, if I just want to extract the currency code, instead of getting the third element, I'm going to use the first element in the index function. So now it gives me USD here, and I can copy it down and it only gives me these currency codes. Now, again, because I specified in such a way that it has to match 3 alphabet currency code. If I make it 2, it will not work. So you can make it flexible, you can make it rigid if you want, but this is how the concept of a grouping works. Now I am going to come back to this concept of grouping again in a few examples later, but let's move on. Again, a very interesting concept, but this is again is a little advanced. So what I want to do is I have a similar data set here and I want to extract the numbers, but I only want to extract the numbers where the currency is USD. So I want to conditionally extract it, and it could be anywhere in this cell. It could be in the beginning, it could be in the end. There could be a space character, there may not be a space character. So in this case, we are going to use a concept called look behind, where regex is going to match a pattern only if it can look behind and find some condition that you specified. For example, I can specify, give me the number only if you find USD before the number. So it is going to go through all these, but only give me the value for this one and this one and this one. So I have the formula. Let me first put the formula. It's a slightly longer formula. So this is the formula, and you can see it has given me the result for USD for in this case, in this case, in this case, but it has not given me the result for GBP or INR or JPY. Now let me explain the pattern in this case. So let me copy this here. So in this pattern, what this part here is what is called look behind. And I've mentioned it here. These characters, these 3 characters are the look behind characters. So in this case, these 3 characters are look behind, and this entire group becomes a condition where it is going to first look for USD. If it finds USD, then it will see whether there is a space character after it or not. There may be a space character, there may not be a space character. This represents one space character, but because I have added an asterisk, it means that there may or may not be a space character. There could be any number of space characters, including 0. And then there could be any number of digits. So this becomes my condition, and this is why it extracts. If I want to refer, instead of, let's say, USD, I want to refer to this cell, you can do that as well. So instead of USD here, put the cell reference, and that should also work. So you can see this also works in this case. Now, let's say I want to use an OR operator here. So I want this to extract the number, but it should have either the currency is USD or the currency is GBP. You can also just come here and use the OR operator we just saw. So you can use this and it will give you the USD currency, the value, the number for GBP, but not for INR and not for JPY. So this is how you can use the look behind and look ahead option. If you want, similarly, you can also use look ahead. For example, in this case, I want to extract the currency code, but only if there is a number that follows the currency code. If there is no number, I do not want to get that currency code. So this means this is an example of look ahead where I would first see whether there are digits after the currency code or not. If there are digits after the currency code, I'm going to use it. If there are no digits, I'm not going to use it. So again, you can do that similarly here. So I have the formula. Let me put the formula. And in this case, it uses these two characters, question mark followed by equal to sign, which you can see is an example of look ahead. So this is a look ahead character. And here I'm looking for space character, which may or may not be there, followed by digits. If this is there, then extract the currency code in uppercase. So now when I hit enter, it gives me the currency code in uppercase. You can also test it. If I come here and I remove these digits, this should not work. So it is not working. It's not just extracting the uppercase characters. It's extracting the uppercase character if it is followed by a digit. So if you want to do these conditional extraction, you can also do that using regex and the concept called look behind or look ahead in regex. Now let's look another interesting example. So here I have these four numbers. And I want to format these phone numbers. Now you can see that these phone numbers are in a really different kinds of formats. In some cases, I have 10 digits. In some cases, I have more. Here I have 001. Here I have +1. Here I have +1. Here I have 001. So this is not consistent. Also, you can see that there are these characters. I have hyphen here. I have space character here. I have a dot here. So this is really inconsistent kind of data. Now I want to extract the last 10 digit and format it in such a way. This is pretty difficult problem to solve. So I've already given you the result here, but let me create the formula here and show you how it works. So in this case, we are going to use the regex replace function. And I'm also going to go back and refer to the concept of grouping. So let's first use the regex replace function. What I want to do in this case is somehow just get the numbers, remove everything else, and I just have the numbers. So let's select this part here. And the pattern which it needs to go and identify in this case is going to be in square brackets digit. But I do not want a digit. I want anything that is not a digit. So I'm going to add a caret symbol here. So we use the caret symbol in one of the examples. This means this is going to find anything which is not a digit. And now I want to replace it with blank. And now when I hit enter, it gives me only the numbers and everything else is removed. The hyphen is removed, parentheses, dots, plus sign, everything is removed. I just have the numbers. Now I want to format these numbers, but I just want the last 10 digits. So that can easily be done using the write function. So I would extract the last 10 characters. It gives me the numbers. Now I'm very close to getting my result here. But let me also show you a concept of grouping and how this can be done using the regex replace function. So I'm going to again use regex replace here. And now regex replace takes these three arguments, mandatory arguments. The first one is the pattern, and then the second one is the replacement. Now in this case, I have these numbers just as numbers without any formatting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a pattern that is going to group these numbers into batches of 3 numbers, 3 numbers, 4 numbers. So to do that, let me make it here in the formula bar because this is, so here within double quotes, I'm going to create the pattern. Now the pattern in this case, as I said, is going to be groups, and these groups are going to be numbers, 3 digit, 3 digit, 4 digit. So I'm going to have these 3 patterns where the first one is going to be digits, and I want exactly 3 digits. So I will put the number 3 in curly brackets. Then I would do the same thing here. I want 3 digits, and then I want 4 digits. So now I have 10 digits, and I have divided these 10 digits into groups of 3, 3, and 4. Now this is the pattern that it is going to find in the cell, which it is going to find because this essentially represents a string of 10 numbers. But because I've put them in groups, I can now replace it with something else. So now I'm going to replace it with another version of the grouping. So what I'm going to do is when I use $1, and now this is a little advanced concept. When I use $1, it actually refers to this group here because this is group number 1. So $1 represents that group. Then if I use $2, it is second group. And when I use $3, it is third group. Let's see what happens when I hit enter. It gives me these numbers. The first group here, these 3 numbers are there, followed. So this is here. Then there is a space character, then these 3 numbers, then a space character, then these 4 numbers. So this is what I've got here in this cell. Now, I just want to format it in a way where I have the first group is in parentheses. So let's do that. I would put this in parentheses. The second group has a space before it, which is fine. And the third group has a hyphen before it. So now when I hit enter, it gives me the result. So this is a little more advanced example of cleaning your data using regex replace, but this is also an advanced concept of using grouping. So if you are using regex a lot, it would be a good idea to understand how grouping works. And thankfully, Excel formulas support grouping. And finally, I have this example where I have the regex function in XLOOKUP. Now, as I mentioned, I did not really find a very good example of using regex within XLOOKUP, but I've created this example for you just to show you how it works. So here I have these product IDs and I have these amount values. Now, what I want to do is extract the amount value for any product where the first time 3 digits appear. So here I have 2 digits, here I have 2 digits, but here I have 3 digits. So I want to extract this, but I do not know where 3 digits would appear first. So I can create this formula where I would use an XLOOKUP function. Now within the lookup value, we are going to use the pattern, and the pattern is going to be /D, then 3 in curly brackets, which means exactly 3 digits. And now this is going to be my lookup array. This is going to be the return array, if not found, maybe blank. And here we are going to use regex match. And hopefully this should work. When I hit enter, it gives me 1500 because 1500 is the value where 3 digits appear first. If I want this to be, let's say, 4 digits, I can make this 3 into 4 and it gives me 2300 because 4 digit is what appears here at the bottom. So it gives you this value. So we are doing a lookup, but we are doing a lookup based on a regex pattern. So yeah, that's all that I had to share, the examples that I had to share. If you guys have any questions or anything, I would be happy to answer.
Awesome. Wow. Dude, that was a lot.
I know.
I want to get your file. I want the first page that has all the definitions. That would be great. So here, let me just do some. I'm going to get you to stop sharing your screen right now, Sumit, because I can see myself windowing, which is freaking me right out. Thanks. So yeah, we had a couple of questions. 2 of them which are actually sort of related to the same kind of thing. So, but the first one is how would you check your pattern works for all your data when you have rows that you've extracted something which isn't obvious, like state? So thinking that you might have run this down, you've got like 100,000 or 200,000 rows of data. What approaches do you take to actually go back and validate that these things have actually worked once you've applied this crazy formula to it?
The thing with regex is it's very so when you have a pattern and the pattern matches, there is actually very less chance that it is going to match anything else. It's not like flash fill where it is going to give you a wrong result. If the pattern matches, it is going to give you the result. If the pattern does not match, it is going to give you NA or anything that you specify. So a good idea would be to just filter and see if it is not giving you the right result and see if it's working or not. But in most cases, because this is so mechanical, it usually works if the pattern is right.
Depending though, I mean, like, because if you've got like some weird idiosyncrasies in the data, it's always it's tricky to find them, right? Like when your error shows up. I mean, and I agree. I mean, what I will say is that, I mean, for me, when I've been working with regex, particularly for my stuff, I find that it doesn't work more than it works until I actually get it over the hump, and after that, it tends to narrowly match things rather than broadly match things. So it's less likely to get a false positive as it is to not get the extraction you want. So. But yeah, I mean, there was some discussion in the chat on this with some variety of different filtering techniques and whatever else. But yeah, I guess it's one of these things that I would certainly say from my experience with regex, test to get there. So next question here. So we've actually got two that are sort of in this, and Devish has actually given us a very specific example of this, but the question is around how non-English characters or letters are handled, like French accents, E with an accent on it, or Devish actually asked for some Maori with macrons on it, an E with a little line on it to convert that back to an E. How do you work with the non-English characters in Regex?
I think if you put them in square brackets, it should identify the character as is. And then if you want to replace it, you can replace it with something. But to be honest, I've not really worked with non-English characters. But I think if you put them in square brackets, because that is the thing, anything that is in square brackets is going to match exactly as is. So as I showed, if you put an @ it is going to find an @. So if you put a character which is non-English character, it should exactly find that character, and you can replace it or extract it or whatever.
I'll have to give that one a shot. I know that some languages do support Unicode characters. I'm guessing that it would be a Unicode character there. So, I mean, and I know, honestly, when I'm working in Power Query for things, sometimes I find when you're working with those characters, you have to copy the character. You can't get it from your keyboard and paste it. So for those of you who are trying it, that's what I would attempt to do. But who knows? I mean, it's one of those things we'll have to go back and test. And this is obviously still pretty new, and it's to us, because I mean, how long have we had Regex in our hands? Not very long, honestly, in the grand scheme of things. Yeah, so we're still learning ourselves and whatnot along the way here. So yes, I have been cat photobombed. You are correct. That is one of three that like to wander around in here and get in the way of things, because they're cats. They have to be seen. So yeah, I think that was all the questions that we had in here for this. I do want to say, Sumit, that was so I've worked with Regex a lot. I have taken absolutely 0 classes on it. And I now feel, after watching what you just did there, that I have been learning by Braille, feeling my way through this, trying to figure out exactly what's going on and reverse engineer things. I really appreciate what you showed here. Very clear and awesome, fast, but very awesome. And I'm definitely looking forward to getting my hand on your file so that I can actually start, playing and practicing with these things. You'll share your file with us so we can share it with the meetup group?
Yes,
fantastic.
Yeah.
Let me just see here. Any more yeah, I think I don't think there's any other questions in this. Lots of comments here about how amazing this was. So thank you for doing this. Great stuff. And oh, good Lord, can you look in the chat and see the response that Devish just posted with her? What is that? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 levels of nested regex replace. Wow. That's crazy.
I think instead of doing the nested thing, if you just use the OR operator, it should work. So instead of having these 10, if you just use the OR operator with all of them, I think it should work.
Yeah, I would think you can probably tighten that one up a little bit for sure. But yeah, there you go. Emil, as far as the question of the LinkedIn and etc. links, are you looking for the URLs that we shared at the beginning? If you are, all of those things, the slide deck is posted on the meetup site already that you RSVP'd to, so you can go and you can download that deck. And Sumit's contact details. Sumit, do you want to share your contact details?
You can find me on LinkedIn, and there's my YouTube channel, which is Trump Excel, which has nothing to do with any person living or dead. And yeah, it's just a verb. Yeah, so you can check out my work there.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks very much, folks, everyone, for coming. As I mentioned, I'll get this posted up, the recording posted up in the next 24 to 48 hours. Once it is live, we will post on the meetup site, so you get a notification, because as I kind of predicted of this one at the beginning, I think you might need to watch this one a couple of times to really get it dialed in. And we'll also share the link to Sumit's workbook when he sends it over as well, so that you'll actually have the practice file to do exactly that. So thanks very much for coming. Sumit, thanks for a fantastic presentation. I really enjoyed it. We'll definitely get you back here someday for another one. Yeah, hopefully we'll see you all at the next time, folks. The RSVPs are open, so don't forget to reply to those. So till next time, cheers.